see how I set the effects up for this. We go look at the MFX. I actually loaded the LoFi processor. In fact, I'm still in the process of editing this song. So let's go into edit, and I'm going to save this guy. Awesome, done. Okay, LoFi processor. What this guy does is it takes the bit depth and sample rate, and it alters it in such a way that you sort of get like this distorted effect that's representative of a tearing of the actual sample, and I'll let you hear kind of what it sounds like. Oops. Okay, that's a dry sound, and then if you go and you switch the effect back on, you'll hear what it sounds like. Okay, so what's happening here is you're going to have to play around with some of the settings. There's not enough time to explain everything that's going on, but I'm able to take the sample rate, the existing sample rate, and divide it by 8, and then from there the sound is going, that sample is going to be changed into a 1-bit bit rate, which basically produces a lot of noise and distortion. And then I have a pulse filter on, which sort of like cleans up the sound a little bit. And then there's the effect level. So if I were to set this to 0, you wouldn't hear the effect at all. If I set it to 100, it would totally be an overwhelming sound. And then the direct level is the sound, the clean sound, or the dry sound as we call it. This is often called the wet sound, the effect. And then the dry sound is what is directly coming in. Let's take a look at some of the other blocks. At the filter block, you can see I'm using a high-pass filter, which basically says let's let the higher frequencies through, and then the little frequency knob just kind of sets a threshold, a place where the frequency is going to be. If you move the dial around, you can kind of hear different. Okay, and then I'm going to change the frequency, cut off, and let's put it much higher. Here. Okay, let's set it much lower. I get a lot more of the frequencies that are the notes. Oh man, I'm gonna have to explain frequencies in a different video. But just you can play around with the knobs a little bit, and you'll get the idea of what's happening. And then there's a threshold and a release. The release is how long the noise is going to be held on to until further duration of suppression. And then if we look at the noise suppressor threshold, hear all that the white noise in the background. I'm going to change it to 0 and see how that affects it. Okay, it's hard to tell the difference there. And put it up. Now you can't hear anything. Well, I can hear it. It's basically cleaning up the sound. It's cleaning it up so much till you can barely hear anything. Okay, what did I have that set to? I think it was 40. Alright. Now, even though I have a direct level set, I still have to kind of get this into the mix. And I'm finding that this sound is the sound that I want, but it's still kind of overwhelming the rest of the mix. I'd like to have a lot more of the other frequencies brought in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into instruments, and I see that I'm using the MV8008 drum kit. I'll update a patch, so patch 12. I'll go in here and I'll go into my library and reload another. That's around 24, I think. Yeah, there it is. Okay, and reload another MV8008 8008. And so now I've got this instrument loaded twice, and what I'll do is I'll duplicate the beat for the 8008 on a separate track, and then that way I can mix it in and have control over that mix. So here, add a MIDI track, and see that it's a DRMV MV8008. That's not the right one. I want the one that I assigned to 12. And now that I have that, I can also go and change the name, and I'm going to add to the name. Let's put dry on here, and that way I'll know that this is the one with the dry signal. Okay, come on, there we go. Alright, and I go into sequence edit, and I take the shaker track, and I'm going to select that track by itself. Then I'll make a copy of it using the sequence editor. Okay, I've gone through and I've selected the entire region, and I'm going to copy it from track 3 to track 4, starting from position 1, and we're done here. Now let's go listen to how it sounds. Okay, let's solo and hear what it sounds like together. Okay, now that we've done that, we can hear what it sounds like. Here's the dry sound. Alright, there's the wet sound. Alright, and once these guys are all together recorded, you actually have control over the mix. If I go into the mix and take a look at what's being fed in. Actually, let me solo these. This is just the shaker part. Alright. So you can see that I've got the effects routed to MFX routed to auxiliary 1. Everything is going into, and I've got the level down at 80. Go look at these parts. So there's our MV 8008. This one is the wet sound. You can tell because I'm sending it out to auxiliary 1, which is where I've inserted the multi-effects. And there's another one. There's the dry one. You can see it's not going out to the multi-effects. And note that part of the effects are being affected by the reverb, so I'm actually sending some reverb. Right. I'm also sending some delay. So be careful of that because that alters the way that your sound sounds. And now I can actually mix between these two without a problem. Well, I like to think of effects as a secondary instrument or a secondary musician, additional musician. And if you take the dry sound and the wet sound and you can combine them together, you basically have two musicians playing together. That kind of helps with the mental picture, I think. Hopefully this helped you out, and just the best way to get started with effects is to start playing around with them and tweak those little parameters and see how the sound changes. You may want to save your work if your effects box has that capability to save your work like the MV does. This is Kenneth. I'm signing out. I just want to say peace to you. Thanks for watching, subscribing, and you take care.